Hey everybody, it's Jason Creel and this is the Lawn Care Life. Today I want to talk to you about fixing a bare spot in your lawn. I'm going to show you some bare spots and I want to give you my thoughts on this subject, talk about different grass types and some different options that you'll have to repair those bare spots in your lawn. Let's get started with that right now. So if you look at this yard, it actually looks pretty good from a distance. But I can show you some flaws because I look at it a lot and show you, you got bare spots in the yard. You got small ones like that, and you got bigger ones like this over here where it's, a much bigger area. And then I can show you even bigger ones than that. Look at the size of this. I could just about park a car in here without grass, and there's just a little bit of grass here. So when you're talking about how to fix a bare spot, one of the big things you need to ask yourself is what kind of grass do you have? And the second question is, how patient are you? How long are you willing to wait, and what kind of budget do you have? If you can answer those three questions, then you can probably make a pretty good decision. So in the example I'm showing you, I'm going to speak primarily about warm season grasses, being Bermuda, Zoysia, centipede, St. Augustine. But on cool season grasses, I know some of this will apply to that as well. I'm pretty sure you can buy cool season grasses as a piece of sod and patch it in that way if you want to. And obviously overseeding it in certain times of year would also be another good option to fill in bare spots for the cool season grasses. But let me talk more about the warm season grasses because that's what I deal with and more familiar with. And any of you guys that deal with cool season grasses on a regular basis, feel free to correct what I said in the comments or add your own thoughts. So again, going back to the three questions: what type of grass you have, how patient are you, how long are you willing to wait, and what's your budget? So in a situation like this, in this particular yard, it is at the time of the video, this is late May, and the weather is getting hot, and we've had a good amount of rain, and I've put a lot of fertilizer on this yard. So when I see a bare spot like this, which is about 2 feet long, 2 feet in diameter, maybe a little bit more, sometimes it's hard to tell on the camera, but I'm sitting here looking at it. So with this type of grass, having Bermuda grass, I know that with plenty of water, heavy fertilizer application, and warm weather, and we're in May right now, late May, then I have plenty of time for this to fill in over the course of the summer, because this Bermuda grass is just now starting to really kick into high gear growing, and over the next 3 months that will easily fill in. My bold prediction here, and I'm not going to check on this particular spot the whole time, but I would guess that in a month, that will be completely filled in and you won't be able to see it. Now, if you've got something like this situation, you see, I don't even know what all that light green is, like some kind of algae stuff that's dried on bare dirt basically. But the dark green patches, this is Bermuda grass that is patched in. Now what happened is big trucks are loud. So what happened is this is from plugging the yard last year, and it's starting to finally take off and spread. So you look at this, and there's huge bare spots. But again, you could come in here and resod this whole area, buy you about 3 or 4 pallets of sod and make this solid, and it'd be almost an instant fix. But I'm not going to do that. I just going with the same strategy of fertilizing it and watching it spread. And I believe these areas here with this little amount of Bermuda, and there's some pretty big bare spots in here, that in probably 2 months this will be completely covered. And that's going to depend on my watering habits, my fertilizing. I've been fertilizing real heavy to make this go faster. So, there's some circumstances involved here. You can't not fertilize and don't water it and expect it to fill in. And if you want to go faster, you can plug more. You can buy, sod by the piece and put it in the biggest areas to plug it, or even taking plugs out of your current lawn and putting it in the biggest bare spots. Like if you had a spot like this where there's very little grass, you put a plug of Bermuda right in the middle of it and it'll start spreading. But again, this is gonna fill in. I feel very confident. But that's Bermuda grass. It grows so fast. It's extremely aggressive in the way it spreads. What if you got other types of grasses? Before I go to other types of grasses, I get asked all the time about Bermuda, you know, should I throw out, should I overseed it? Should I, you know, what do I need to do to fill in these spots? I tell people usually not to. A lot of times in my area, I'm in Alabama, we have you know, these hybrid Bermudas, and the one that most of the times we have is the 419 Bermuda, and you can't buy it as seed. It has to be plugged or grown from sod. So when you're buying seed, even if it says Bermuda, you're mixing a different kind of Bermuda, and it's just not gonna look as good in my opinion. Plus, again, if you'll just fertilize and wait, it will spread quickly that way. Or if you're impatient, just go buy the sod and put it down that way. Bermuda sod, in my area, you can get a pallet of sod for like $105 a pallet, so it's not very expensive. But it's a completely different situation when I run up on a situation like this and they've got a Zoysia lawn. And I got asked today, a guy had Bermuda and then it got close to a shade tree, and his Bermuda got really thin, and then it ended up into some Zoysia, where the Zoysia looked great because it's much more shade tolerant. And he was asking, you know, what do I do about those bare areas there where the Bermuda is? And I basically had to explain to him, you know, Bermuda's not getting enough sun, but look how great your Zoysia's doing in the same area. It's nice and thick, and then you got the thin Bermuda, and then as it gets more sun, you got the nice thick Bermuda. So you got that situation there. So what do you do in that situation? Well, I had to explain to him, maybe it was a 10 feet gap between where his nice Zoysia was and his nice Bermuda was, 10 feet of basically thin Bermuda that was not getting enough sun. And I had to explain, I said, you know, unfortunately, it may take 5 years for that Zoysia to spread all the way over there. Unlike Bermuda, which can spread very quickly to fill in those bare spots, Zoysia spreads very slowly. So in that situation, again, I would not go out and buy seed and try, you know, mixing up different grass types if I didn't have to. Now, again, he already had Bermuda in the sun and Zoysia in the shade, so he's already got 2 grass types. But I would, in those situations, I typically tell people, if you'll go buy some emerald Zoysia, it's going to be more shade tolerant than your Bermuda, and you want to sod it solid. Now, you can plug it if you want to, but you got to, again, you might be 2-3 years even if you plug it 6 inches apart for that to fill in. So if you'll just, and more fertilizer, nutrition obviously can speed that process up. But in my opinion, it's best with Zoysia just to sod it solid because it's much slower to spread. Now, the reason we didn't sod this solid is because I've got several acres, and I would have took hundreds of pallets of sod, and I didn't want to pay for that or put it out, or I just didn't want any part of it altogether. And I've kind of enjoyed the process of watching it fill in. And if you could see, if some of you follow the channel know what it started as, you can see it's obviously made a lot of progress. Now, centipede and St. Augustine grass, they both spread fairly well. And one, I did have someone tell me that if you're gonna try to grow one of these warm season grasses from seed, that centipede is actually pretty successful being grown from seed. Now, you can grow types of Bermuda from seed, but the centipede, and with these warm season grasses, it needs to be hot, and obviously you need to just keep that seed watered until it starts growing. But he made the point that yes, you can grow centipede from seed, and both of those will spread fairly quickly. Now, they're not going to spread as quickly as Bermuda, but they're certainly going to spread more quickly than the Zoysia. But one of the biggest things in this whole deal is just choosing the right grass type for your situation. Again, I've seen people and they take Bermuda sod and they go put it under a tree which had thin grass, and they go put more Bermuda sod under there, and it's not going to grow either. It wasn't growing to start with, you go put more and it's not going to grow either. You know, you got to choose the right grass type based on your situation. So, you know, if you get plenty of sun, then almost any of these options would work. But if you're a little more shade tolerant, then you're going to need to go with the Zoysia or the St. Augustine, depending on which one does better in your area. And oftentimes, just choosing the right grass is the biggest mistake that I see people make. So to wrap it up, your options are, yes, you can overseed in some situation. With the warm season grasses, it needs to be warm weather and you got to keep it watered. Now, the cool season grasses, you can overseed in the fall when it starts cooling off and fix some bare spots that way. You can also plug these warm season grasses, buy sod plugs or buy pieces of sod and cut them into plugs and put them and watch them spread that way. Again, Bermuda does it quickly, Zoysia is going to be slower. The centipede and St. Augustine are going to be in the middle. And of course, sodding it solid is one way, obviously, to fix a bare spot. You can, throw a piece of sod in a bare spot, it's pretty much fixed. You just got to keep it watered. But for what it's worth, in this Bermuda yard here, you can see what the option that I'm going with, these big bare spots, is just heavy fertilizer and watch it spread. And I kind of enjoy the process. And check back in a month or two, I should have pretty much a full solid lawn here. But you know what, I'm about to get ready to do the exact same thing in my backyard. I've got a large area that we're clearing off and gonna scrape it down and level it, and there's a little bit of Bermuda, but I'm gonna be plugging sod back there and fertilize it and watch it spread and basically see, can I get by with 1 or 2 pallets of sod to end up covering maybe 2 acres of land. So 2 acres would cost you a lot if you're gonna sod it solid. But if I could just buy 2 pallets of Bermuda sod for $105 a piece and get that whole area to cover by the end of the summer, I think that would be pretty cool. Appreciate you watching the video. I'm Jason Creel. There's over 500 videos on the channel. I'd encourage you to subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me what you like, what you didn't like, what I said wrong. I say stuff wrong here from time to time, and I know there's some of you that love to correct me, so here's your chance. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye.